Welcome. Welcome, everyone. I'm Mariquita Solis, the live stream host of all-creatures.org. All-creatures.org was founded in 1998 and is a leading resource for faith-based animal rights veganism. We're led by our executive director, Tams Nicholson, and we provide free resources for people seeking to live compassionately towards all creatures. Our extensive library includes vegan sermons and commentaries, action rights strategies, and action alerts, animal rights strategies, action alerts, events, and works by various vegan authors. We also sponsor websites for animal rights organizations. Our mission is to unite compassionate individuals worldwide who honor the dignity of all creatures. So today we are very honored to welcome my friend Chef Valerie Wilson, also known as Chef Val. Val has been in the food industry since 1985. Her first job was managing a delicatessen, and her second job was managing a French restaurant. She discovered macrobiotics in 1993 and worked as an assistant for a macro cooking school for 2 years. In 1993, she also became vegan and has lived a whole foods vegan lifestyle ever since. She started her business, Macro Val, teaching cooking classes in 1997 and still teaches in Westland, Michigan. Currently, she teaches in person and virtual classes monthly. Her classes focus on the health benefits of whole organic vegan foods and the energy of the food. Based on the ancient knowledge of the Orient, she teaches about cooking for the different seasons following the 5 transformations of energy. Val offers lifestyle counseling based on food choices, and she's helped people overcome illnesses such as arthritis, cancer, diabetes, Meniere's disease, and allergies. She offers personal chef services specializing in cooking for anyone who has health issues. And she is also the author of 7 cookbooks. So, welcome, Val. I'm excited to have you here with us today.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's so nice to see you again. So,
Yeah, we met at the Vegan Bundle this year, and I got to see some of Val's wonderful cooking. Unfortunately, not taste it since she lives too far away from me. But yeah, and hear about her experience. So I thought she would be a perfect guest for this show because before I talked to Val, I didn't really know much about macrobiotic cooking. I mean, eating health, the benefits. And so I thought, I mean, probably a lot of people don't know about this. And there's a lot of vegans that don't eat whole food, plant based, or clean, natural living foods. So it was important to get her on this show. So, Val, tell me, did you grow up with a family that ate this way? How did you grow up?
no, I did not. Uh, when I was 5 years old, my parents bought 5 acres in Brighton, Michigan, and we had a farm. We had a horse and 2 ponies. We had chickens, 2 dogs, 2 cats, and so we ate the average American diet. Although my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and we had homemade cooked meals. Very rarely did we go out to a restaurant. It was like a special treat. And I think that has a lot to do with building your health at the beginning if you're eating homemade good food. And I like to say that my mom was my first cooking teacher because I learned a lot from her. And, at Christmas time, we would make Christmas cookies together. And I think the first thing that she taught me how to do, which I made, was her version of macaroni and cheese. When I was a little girl, that was my favorite. And of course, I have vegan versions of that now. And she likes to say that, like, when I was 9 years old is when I created my first recipe because she wasn't home and there was an ingredient that was missing in the recipe. And I just went ahead and substituted something else and went ahead and created whatever. And they said it was tasted good. So, no, I grew up, the regular way most people do. So I did not discover macrobiotics or eating vegan until I was in my early 20s. And knock on wood, I really didn't have any major health issues. I did have allergies, pretty bad. Like my eyes would puff up and swell in the springtime. And I was starting to experience a little bit of joint pain when I would go on a long trip. And I do have a family history of other people in my family having arthritis. So, yeah, those were some of the things. Oh, and my eczema, my journey of eczema, which broke out on my body when I was 18. And that was a constant battle. So I did have that. But now, fast forward so many years later, no allergies, no joint pains, no eczema. I literally, like, I have friends who have 10 years younger than me that say that they wake up and they have this pain or that pain, or like, I want to go hiking and I'm all full of energy, and they're like, well, my knee hurts or something like that. So it's such a blessing, to live this way. I think it's a blessing when you eat healthy, organic, whole foods. You just live a better quality of life, more energy, less pain. If you do come down with something, like maybe you get a cold or something, you always recover much quicker, and so you're able to enjoy life so much more. That's been my experience.
Yeah, and the energy of the food. I mean, how do you feel eating the calmness of the animal? I mean, the peace food, right? I mean, how does that translate into your life, Val?
Okay, so let me explain a little bit about macrobiotics for people who don't know, to understand the energy of food. And if I had like a nickel for every time someone said it to me, what is macrobiotics? It'd be pretty rich. Although I'm always pleasantly surprised that when I run across people who are very familiar with macrobiotics, which is awesome. And so macrobiotics incorporates the ancient philosophy of the energy of the food. So this information may sound unfamiliar to you or new to you, but all of our ancient ancestors that lived a long time ago, when they lived very close to nature, they actually were more in tune with the natural energy flow, and they kind of knew this inherently. They kind of knew this information inherently. And so the founder of macrobiotics, his name is George Osawa, and when he lived, he saw the introduction of white rice and white sugar into his culture in Japan, and his mother became very ill and passed away. His brother became very ill and passed away, and he was very ill. And he rediscovered this ancient knowledge of balancing the yin and the yang energy of your food. And he went off of the refined processed white flour. He went back to the whole grain brown rice flour and other things too, and he actually healed himself. He went on to live the rest of his life. He renamed this way of living macrobiotics. Macro meaning the whole big, and biotics meaning life. So it's the whole big life, macrobiotics. And he went on, he's got many books out there, so people can look up George Osawa if they're interested, and they can read books more about it. That's what I did. When I first discovered this, I was like, I got to find out more books. I went and got every book I could find on it and started reading. But he went on in his life, very interesting. He was a healthy guy eating macrobiotics, and then he would purposely go somewhere and where people were ill, and he would eat what they were eating, which was very unbalanced according to yin and yang. And then sometimes he would get sick, and then he would go back to eating the macrobiotic principles with the balanced food, and he would re-heal himself. He literally did this to prove how strong the theory of the yin and the yang and how healthy macrobiotics was. I mean, and you can tell that would be kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of challenging to the body to purposely get out of balance and then get yourself back to balance. So yin energy. Yin is expansive and moves upwards. Yang energy is tight and constrictive, and it moves downwards. Okay. Now, everything has both yin and yang energy in it in varying degrees. So we can classify it as more yin or more yang, depending on which is more predominant. I just happen to have this beautiful daikon radish, and it's organic too, that I got from the store.
Oh.
I was so excited the greens were attached. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm putting this in display, but here is just the reason why. So we can see in the daikon radish, there's both yin and yang energy. So this is the green part that grows upward and expands. This is the yin part. This is the root that grows downward and it's constricted. This is the yang part. So our ancestors would grow the daikon, they would pick it, they would eat the greens and the white, they would eat the yin and the yang, the whole thing. Very, very balanced. Now, modern days, when we go to the grocery store, usually we only find the yang root, which is fine. But if you can find both of them, then you can incorporate both the yin and the yang energy of the vegetable. Now, when your energy becomes unbalanced with the yin and the yang is when you are eating extremely yin foods and extremely yang foods. So I like everybody to like picture in their mind a teeter-totter. Okay, and on one side we'll have extreme yin foods, and on the other side we'll have extreme yang food. So the extreme yin, which is moving upward and very expansive, would be white refined sugar. So when I say white refined sugar, there are so many foods in the modern diet that have this in it. And this is what a lot of people eat, right? Cupcakes, donuts, breakfast cereals inundated with sugar. I mean, when you read the label, when you go to the grocery store, which I highly recommend everybody, if the first thing you do is nothing more than just going to the grocery store and reading the label, you will be shocked that they have sugar in like everything. So very, very expansive yin foods, ice cream, that's very, very yin. Now on the other side of the scale, tight, condensed, constrictive, downward, that's where your meat products are. All of your meat, beef, chicken, pork, everything. Meat, very constrictive, tight. This is also where hard cheeses are, very salty foods. And we know that we oversalt our food in our culture. Crunchy, salty snacks, very, very yang. So the average American is usually eating this diet: ice cream, chicken, donuts, hamburger, so their teeter-totter is literally going like this, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now this creates chaotic energy, and dis-ease lives in chaotic energy. It loves chaotic energy. So what you want to do to have balanced energy in your body to create health is focus on the middle ground foods, the things that have just about equal yin and yang energies in it. And right in the middle of that teeter-totter is the whole grain brown rice. So brown rice is probably my favorite food. Somebody asked me once, what is your favorite food? And I have so many. Being a chef, I love food. I gotta say brown rice because it's so versatile. I can go in the kitchen and make just about anything with brown rice, and I love it so much. But the yin and the yang energy is just about balanced in the whole grain brown rice. We also have the other whole grains in the middle of the teeter-totter. So we got millet, quinoa, oats, amaranth, spelt. All that is just about the middle of your teeter-totter, your whole grains. So if you focus your overall diet of what you eat in whole grains, number one, instead of having chaotic energy, you're going to have middle ground calming energy. This is the calming aspect of the yin and the yang. Now, vegetables are pretty much in the middle of the category too. Although, as I demonstrated with the daikon, if you eat the white part, you're a little more yang, the green part, you're a little more yin, but you're not as extreme as the meat and the sugar. You're still in the middle ground. You also have your beans. Beans are in the middle. They're a little more yin, but still in the middle ground. So dookie beans, kidney beans, white beans, lentils, right there in the middle. Soybeans, oh my God, tofu and tempeh, right there in the middle. So the diet is based around whole grains, lots of vegetables, tofu and tempeh, nuts and seeds, and sea vegetables. Macrobiotics focuses a lot on sea vegetables, which a lot of people, if they're vegan whole foods, maybe they're unfamiliar with the sea vegetables, but that's an important category because the sea vegetables have minerals and trace minerals. They're the most nutrient dense food on the planet. And so, miso soup, almost everybody's heard of miso soup. And I have so many different miso soup recipes in my 7 cookbooks. Any one of them is going to have a miso soup recipe. And that's another one of the things that when someone decides that they want to step into a healthier way of living and they first start macrobiotics, most of the time you start with brown rice and miso soup. Because the miso soup, you can put a variety of vegetables in it. You're going to have your sea vegetables in it. And if you want, you can put your whole grain in the soup too. And you've got a beautiful balanced soup, but also the miso and the sea vegetables have a very strong cleansing property, and they cleanse toxins out of your system. And if you've been eating the standard American diet, the SAD diet, you probably have toxins in your body from, the pesticides and chemicals, and also, environmental toxins that you breathe in, so the foods are very cleansing to the body also. So that's the basics of macrobiotics. So I hope that clarifies it.
Yeah, and also tell me what are sea vegetables? Give me some examples.
Yeah, I did not pull any out for visual contact, but they're actual plants that grow in the ocean. So they grow in the ocean. So there's wakame. Wakame is the one that's the standard sea vegetable that you put in miso soup, wakame. There's kombu. Now, some people call kombu kelp, but I call it kombu. And that one's the one that you always cook with beans. Kombu has the ability to help break down the protein and also aids in digestion, so you can digest the bean. So I always put kombu in with my beans. There is nori. Nori is the sea vegetable that's probably the easiest for everybody to start incorporated, because you can go to a health food store and you can buy a little bottle that says dulse flakes. So they've already chopped it up in really small pieces, and you can just sprinkle it on your food. So you can start incorporating dulse right away. And then there's little stronger tasting ones like arame. Arame is like little fine black squiggly lines, and you really need to cook arame with naturally sweet vegetables because it's a little stronger taste. So I like to saute onions and add some sweet potatoes and some carrots, and it really complements the arame. And then there's haziki. Haziki is probably the strongest flavor of the sea vegetables. So that one you need, just a little bit. And nori. Nori is what's on the sushi, the outside of the brown rice sushi. That's nori sheets, right? So if anybody wants to know more about sea vegetables, cookbook number 7 is an e-cookbook. So it's one that is downloaded to you. It's not printed, and it's Sensational Sublime Sea Vegetables. It tells you all about sea vegetables. It's got all the recipes, even desserts with sea vegetables in it. Yeah, and that's on the website, macroval.com.
Yeah, and you're also not putting in, when we think about the animals and the energy of animals, animals that we're eating, that the typical person is eating, compare that to the energy of living foods. And what would you say about that? What does that do to your body?
Yeah, so the most yang, dense, constrictive, heavy foods is animal product foods. And so, like, when I counsel with people and I work with people, and this is from years and years and years of just studying and experience and observation, you can usually tell from somebody's energy if they are eating a lot of heavy, dense, yang animal products, because they get angry very easily. That's your yang energy. Frustrated. They tend to have probably more digestive issues, and yang hard, that would develop a tumor in your system quicker. Yang hard, right? Sometimes, not always, these are, generalizations, because I want to point out that everybody's different, right? So there are no standard black and white things. These are just kind of generalizations just to help people understand. A lot of times they might have a line right here from doing this. That's yang. That's a yang characteristic of being condensed and constricted. But on the other side of the scale, where you're really, really yin, if you like consuming a lot of sweets, and also, by the way, pharmaceutical drugs are extremely yin, very, very yin. And unfortunately, we live in a culture where so many people, if there's something wrong with it, they just take a pill. And NutraSweet and any type of chemical sweetener extremely yin, extremely yin. So if I come across someone who's too much on the yin side, they're very expansive and flighty. You'll be having a conversation about one thing, and you think you're having a conversation, and they'll just all of a sudden go blah, 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 and talk about something completely else, and you're kind of like thrown off, like because they're yin, they're like way up here, like flighty, And then also when you do a handshake, if you're too yang, the person will like break your fingers. You'll be like, ow. If you shake someone who's on the too yin side, it's like this. They barely touch you. It's like, so those are examples of extreme, on either side of the yin or the yang scale.
Well, that's very interesting. And so, what are these 5 transformations of energy?
So the 5 transformations of energy is another ancient philosophy that our ancestors knew because they lived inherently next to nature. These 5 transformations of energy, again, maybe something new you've never heard of, but if you study martial arts or acupuncture, and in my case, macrobiotics with the food, and Oriental medicine, they use the 5 transformations of energy. And it's a circle. And up at the top is summer. And then you have late summer, you have fall, you have winter, you have spring. So we kind of think of 4 seasons, right? But this incorporates 5 seasons. And it associates the time of the year with the food that you eat, because you're supposed to be living as close to nature as possible. So you eat foods that are ready from Mother Earth at that time of the year. And it incorporates different organs of the body associated with that time. So for instance, summer is like my favorite season because it's so warm out. So summer is very active. Most of the time, and of course there are some people that live down in the tropics that kind of have summer all the time, but I live in Michigan. We have all the seasons. So summer is very, very active, moving all the time, going out bicycling and having fun. So it's the most active time. So it's associated with the organs in your body that are the most active. Your brain and your heart. Your brain and your heart, moving all the time, moving all the time. And we eat the foods that are available in the summertime. So corn is the signature whole grain of summertime. And so all the things that come out of your garden, cucumbers with their high water content, helping to cool the body down so you can deal with hot weather. Lettuces, all of your lettuces, those are all associated with summer. Now we're kind of in a transitional time because we're going from winter to spring. But winter is cold and more yang and more concentrated. And wintertime focuses on the foods that our ancestors would have picked in the fall or the late fall and put in their fruit cellar and would have lasted all winter long. Those are the foods they would focus on. So your cabbages, one of my favorite, rutabaga. I love rutabaga. Turnips, carrots, even the white part of the daikon, the green would have wilted by the time winter comes, right? But the more root vegetables, butternut squash, you get a butternut squash, you can put it in a cool place, it's going to last a long time. So the wintertime, we focus on the more warming foods. These are more yang foods to create more warmth in your body. And the signature whole grain for winter is buckwheat, one of my all-time favorite grains, because it imparts the most warmth in your body. Buckwheat, some people, it's actually called kasha. And once they grind up kasha, it becomes buckwheat flour. But buckwheat, kasha, it's the same thing. That's the whole grain. And that is associated, it's the water energy phase. And so that's associated with your reproduction organs, water, your kidneys, water, right? That's associated with the wintertime water energy foods. And springtime, which we're moving into, one of my all-time favorite vegetables, asparagus. Woo! I love asparagus. And asparagus has the natural ability to help cleanse your liver, because liver is the signature organ for springtime. And we have the wonderful signature, each one has a signature taste too. Sour. Sour is the signature flavor for spring. That's what we're moving into, because we need to reawaken our taste buds from being in the winter time. So we're moving upwards. We're going into the sour. And so we also have rolled oats, barley. Those are the signature whole grains of springtime. Now I have a cooking for the spring season and cooking for the summer season cookbook. And also I have a Substack blog, Valerie Wilson Substack. And I did write a whole article on the winter water energy phase and how it associates with the organs. And you can go and subscribe to my Substack. You can either do free or a little small monthly payment, but each season I will write an article describing more about this. And so when I counsel someone and we figure out what organ might be weak in their body, then those are the foods that I target in on. And I suggest more of those foods. Like if they need liver, to help support their liver, we're going to go with sour foods. We're going to go with the asparagus and things like that. So the foods feed and nurture different organs in the body. And so that's a little bit about the 5 transformations of energy.
Well, that's fascinating. And I want to say that one thing that I wanted to say earlier, it was about the miso and how you said that was very preventative for cancer, right? I mean, it's like but tell us what kind of miso we need to buy.
Okay, so when you make good miso soup, you want the dark miso, the dark colored miso, the one that's been fermented for, if you can find one for 2 years, it's the best. Although sometimes 1 year is what you find in the store. But the longer it's fermented, the darker color it becomes. And many people have had miso soup at a restaurant. And I tell them, if the only place you've ever had miso soup is in a restaurant, I'm sorry, you've not had real miso soup. You got to cook it at home. You got to make it with your vegetables, and then you season it. When you go looking for miso, you got to look in the refrigerated section. Okay, that means that it hasn't been pasteurized. And it should have soybeans, sea salt, and sometimes they list koji, Koji, and that is part of the enzymes that help ferment the soybeans. So don't be afraid of that. That's just one of the things in there. But there shouldn't be anything weird in there. Like I've gone to Oriental stores looking, and they do have some good misos at Oriental stores, but some other ones will have like sugar in it because sugar speeds up the fermentation process. And you should never, ever obviously eat sugar, but especially in a wonderful fermented food like miso, you don't want that. So you want the dark miso for your miso soup. The lighter misos I use for sauces and to make my vegan cheeses and for flavors. I mean, you can make a miso soup with the lighter one, but if this is new to you and you're just starting out, I highly advise the darker one. It's stronger, it's more medicinal, and it has kind of a stronger taste. That's the one you want for your miso soup, the darker one.
Well, that's very good to know. So if anybody's watching, please let us know where you're watching from and if you have any questions. So my dog, I'll just tell you, he got attacked a couple weeks ago, and he's he's going to be okay and he's all right. It's a slow healing process, but I'm giving him all these antibiotics, and gosh, I hate it. He's vegan, so I got some plain vegan yogurt for him. And I'm thinking, yeah, what does that do? I mean, how long does it take for your, microbiome and everything to come back from antibiotics? And what do antibiotics do to your microbiome?
Oh, they just wreck it. They just wreck it completely. Now, I have 5 cats, and I've had cats ever since I was 18. So I know a little bit more about healing cats than healing dogs. So you need to do your research. But I gave up on standard traditional care a long time ago. So I had a cat, my all black cat. Her name was Fairy. She's no longer with me, but she lived 15 years, and she would have a reoccurring urinary tract infection every once in a while. Not a lot, every once in a while. And so I would take parsley, and I would bring some water to a boil, and I would parsley in it. And then I would chop up some cranberries and put it in the water. And then I would strain it, and I would use a little Q-tip thing and I would squirt it in her mouth. And then I would take a grapefruit seed pill, grapefruit seed extract. That's a natural antibiotic. And I would cut the pill in 4 because she was a little cat. And I would give her a quarter of that pill a day. That took care of her urinary tract infection every time. Now, I would look into dogs. You have to look in dog care. I would look into the grapefruit seed extract because that's a natural antibiotic right there. It's fantastic for you. Now, for humans, my favorite antibiotic is garlic. Garlic. I don't know about dogs and garlic. You have to, do your research. But for a human, yeah. If you tell somebody tells you have to take an antibiotic. Now, if it's a life-threatening condition, obviously you have to do what you need to do. I'm not giving medical advice here. These are just food suggestions but you can get raw garlic. If you can handle raw garlic, woohoo, it's fantastic for you. It's a little too strong for me. So I put garlic in my brown rice stir fry, or I'll put it in my miso soup, or I do get some organic garlic pills. That's just 100% organic garlic. And you could try that too. And then to recover your digestion after going through something where you have to take antibiotics, you want fermented food. Now, I don't know about a dog. Again, I don't know if you can feed fermented food to a dog or if your dog would eat fermented food. But, you got your sauerkraut. I make sauerkraut from scratch in this big, huge crock. And it's so good. I love homemade sauerkraut. But I also do ferment. I'm going to turn some of this daikon into fermented daikon pickles. You can ferment carrots. You can make pickles out of everything. When I say pickles, most people think cucumbers. And there's nothing wrong with cucumber pickles. Those are delicious too. But I'm talking such a wide variety of different fermented foods. And miso is a fermented food. So that would help bring it back. Yes.
I should go get some miso soup for him. He would like that.
No, you got to make miso soup.
I know. I need to get the miso. I mean, the dark miso. Make sure that it's in the refrigerated and no sugar.
Now, recently we were in the vegan health bundle together. And what I had in there was cancer healing and prevention, which is on my website. If you missed the bundle, what was in the bundle is also for sale on my website. But that was a 4-week series where I dedicated specifically healing recipes and healing foods to overcome cancer. And there is a wonderful miso soup in that right there. Yeah. And I think if you go to macrobiotics.com, I also have a recipe of the month, and scroll back because this is the 3rd year, but I do have a miso soup recipe and my recipe of the month also on my website.
Okay. Well, I know he would like that. So, and brown rice. So I make his food myself. So
wow, that's fantastic. I don't have time. I cook for people all the time, but I do look for organic cat food, which is hard to find. I try and find organic cat food. And I'll tell you my story of brown rice. I adore brown rice. When I first discovered macrobiotics, the first thing I did, I just started cooking brown rice. Put it in a pot, just started cooking it. And I had 2 different cats at that time. I had Mick and Holly. And I thought, well, if the brown rice is good for humans, it's got to be good for cats. And I was just buying regular cat food because this is new. This is all new to me. So I would take a scoop of the wet cat food, and I would take a little forkful of brown rice, and I would mash it together, and I would feed them brown rice. The coat, their fur and everything improved. They started to look better just from feeding a little bit of brown rice to my cats. Again, when I first got into this, and it made a difference. Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. I have a lot of brown rice that I need to start cooking. So yes, because I still have that jasmine rice that I asked you about. I'm going through that. But anyway, once I get rid of that, and it's not brown jasmine, it's white. So
no, don't eat that. Oh my God.
I know.
No.
So yeah, I'm learning a lot from you. What about people that say they can't tolerate eating vegetables? Now I have people say, "Oh, I love vegetables, but I just can't handle it." What's going on there?
I would have to have more information. What do you mean by can't tolerate it? Is there a digestive problem where it gets in there?
They're on the standard American diet.
Standard American like the taste of it. Yeah.
No, because I think they're used to eating regular. I mean, like eating heavy fat foods, and then when they start to introduce the vegetables, it's hard for them. I mean, they haven't eaten vegetables in a long time.
Well, everybody's different, and you have to try and find some way to work with them. Some people who say something like, I can't tolerate vegetables, they're just not ready to change. And that's their excuse, which is fine. Everybody's on their own journey. Everybody's, doing what they're doing. But once they're ready, they will find a way. They really will find a way. Like some people will say, well, I just want to do a little bit and everything. And so I did get some broccoli, but Val, I steamed it a long time. It was really, really soft. It was the only way I could eat it. But I could eat it if I steamed it for a really, really long time. I'll be like, fine. If that's the only way you can eat broccoli, go right ahead. You know what I mean? You got to be flexible and kind of work with them. If that's the only way they're going to do it, go ahead, because they're starting to change their taste buds. They're starting to change. And I have seen through students that have come to my classes for years and years, like this one lady, she's so sweet. I make apricot oatmeal breakfast cookies. I've had these for like 20 years. I don't know. But all that sweetens them is the apricots, there's raisins and brown rice syrup. So they are not what most people would consider sweet, with white sugar or even not white sugar. So when she first got these cookies, she would say, they're not sweet, but I know they're really good for me, so I'm going to eat them. A couple years later, she was like, these cookies are plenty sweet. They're absolutely delicious. These cookies are plenty sweet, because she cut out the white refined sugar. So it was a slow progression that eventually she could taste the beautiful sweetness in the cookie. But when she was eating the SAD diet, she couldn't taste the sweetness, the natural sweetness in it.
Yeah, I have a friend like that. Now she changed. She's eating organic, as much as she can raw, but it's not all of that, but she's doing it for her health. And then people are teasing her like, well, where's the real food? And I'm always defending her. We're both like, this is the real food, right? And then she was posting these beautiful tacos with sweet potatoes and sprouts and, cilantro and lime. And she's learning to be a chef, and I love it. And she was saying how her taste buds have changed and how wonderful it is. And I was saying, yeah, after 2 weeks, I think your taste buds change. And she said, and then you feel great too. You just don't realize the difference once we start eating foods that are alive, and we're not eating these processed, heavy foods. I mean, I'm scared when I see foods that are still alive after months, right? You think, what's going on? What's happening in my body if I put those in my body, that this food could be sitting on the counter, in the same state for months and months and months. It's scary.
It's not food. It's food. So it's interesting that our culture has been brainwashed to think that highly refined, processed, fake food is food, when it's not. It's a chemical, refined process concoction. And what we are talking about, healthy, beautiful food from Mother Earth that has not been refined or processed, hasn't been sprayed with chemicals, that's real food. That's what our ancestors lived on. Our ancestors, no matter where you came from, had a diet based in whole grains a long, long time ago. That's the main source. A complex carbohydrate, that was the main source of food that they were eating for a long, long time. And if they, a long time ago, were eating refined, processed, fake food, we would be extinct. We wouldn't be here. We totally would be extinct. And so the healthy whole foods from Mother Earth is what we have to get back to regain our health. I mean, I've been teaching for 29 years. And there's so many success. I should have wrote them all down. You should have hindsight 2020, but this beautiful woman, I always remember her because her name was Fran. My mom's name is Fran, and that's my middle name. She was a very large woman, and she was a nurse. She was the sweetest girl ever. She came to all my classes for like 2 years, and then she stopped coming, some people for various reasons. I ran into her at a store, and she had been like this, and she was like this. I went, oh my God, you look so great. You lost all that weight. And I go, what did you do? She goes, I just use your recipes. She goes, I just use your recipes. And she had lost all this weight. It was beautiful. absolutely beautiful.
That's amazing. Yes. And also, people think that the animal foods are not processed, but they are processed. I mean, first of all, they're not even natural. These are not animals that are living out in nature.
No,
They're living in the most horrendous conditions. And when you take that energy, when you're eating it, taking in the energy of animals that beg to live, I mean, what is that doing to your body when you can take in these beautiful living foods that you have right behind you?
and they're injected with growth hormones, vaccines, antibiotics, and the fear that they feel before their death. Why do you think we live in a culture where everybody's afraid of everything? And how do you control a population? Make them very fearful. And you are energy. Everything is energy. You become the energy of what you eat. Many people, are very full of fear, which is unfortunate, and it comes from the energy of the food that they're eating.
Very true. So tell me about spices. So if we're not using the typical sugars and salts, what will we be using to make our food flavorful?
Well, we already talked about one, miso. I adore miso. So for sugar, I use brown rice syrup. Been using it for over 30 years. And it's not as popular as some of those other, sugar substitutes. But brown rice syrup is made from whole organic brown rice. Again, my favorite food. So they cook it down until it becomes, a thick consistency, and it's naturally sweet. And so it will never spike your blood sugar level because the sugar in it is maltose, Maltose. So white refined sugar is sucrose. And anything that comes from a fruit is fructose. And so maltose is the least reactive in your system. So that's what I use to make cakes, cookies, all of my desserts.
And is that like powder or how? I mean, is it crystal or is it liquid?
It's a liquid.
Okay. Where do you get? I guess you get that at the health food store. Or...
Yeah, you can get it at health food stores. Let me grab this right here.
Okay.
Now I get Suzanne. I should get a kickback from this company. I've been using it. I always recommend Suzanne's specialty, and it says rice nectar. It's organic because I know it's a really reputable company. But you're probably going to have to order this over the internet because health food stores, they used to carry brown rice syrup. They're getting rid of it. Now, if you can't get Suzanne's, you can get Lundberg. Lundberg has a brown rice syrup. Very, very nice one also. But it depends on where you live, different states. You're probably not going to find this in Kroger. So you got to go to a health food store. Brown rice syrup. Yes, absolutely. And this is, can you see, that's a pecan square. See that dessert? This is what I taught yesterday. I had a cooking class here in my house. So I had students here in my house, but I also had it hooked up to Zoom so you could attend virtual or whatever. And the dessert was pecan squares. That's with brown rice syrup. And we made a brown rice tempeh vegetable with a little bit of sauce. And this was garlic roasted sweet potato and rutabaga. And I served it with a little bit of homemade sauerkraut. So if anybody's wondering too, like what is a traditional macrobiotic plate look like, it looks like this. Although I usually, when I eat my dessert, I'm usually eating my dessert like at least an hour after my meal. I usually don't eat them together, but in a cooking class where we're all sitting down and eating at the end of the class, everybody's eating the food. Everybody says that's their favorite part of the class. They get to sit down and eat the food. And I can't tell you how many times I have heard when I do a cooking class and the people taste it. Oh my God, this is absolutely delicious. I'm like, well, yep, I am a chef. That is my end goal. And I do cooking classes too, like in venues, health food stores, libraries, and they get a sample. When you come to my house, you get a whole meal, but they get a sample, and they go, and I'm talking about the healthy whole foods and the health benefits. And a lot of them in that audience are not necessarily this, vegan. This is new to them. And they're probably expecting it not to taste good. And they taste it and they go, oh my God, this is absolutely delicious. I'm like, yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, most people, well, one of my friends was telling me she wanted her family to eat better, someone in her family, and I was asking about eating the, vegan living foods, and she said, but he likes to eat things that taste good. And I laughed. I'm like, I want to eat things that taste good too. I'm eating things that taste good. It's that we've been so brainwashed into thinking that we can't live without, I mean, the protein question, and people don't even realize they're so deficient in fiber. I don't know how
Yes.
people live without fiber. How do they live without fiber?
We do not have a protein deficiency in, our culture. We have as you mentioned, fiber deficiency. And if you're vegan and you're eating healthy whole foods, because there are some vegan people who, eat refined processed food, but I'm talking about kind of where you and I are, healthy whole foods from Mother Earth. And it's a very varied diet with different things. You don't have to worry about your protein. Okay. I get asked that question too all the time. Where's the protein? So many times. And I've come to like a standard answer. Here's my answer. There is protein in everything that grows out of Mother Earth. So everything that I eat has protein. There is even a little bit of protein in fruit. Okay. There's more protein in beans, obviously, but literally everything that I eat has protein in it. So you may think of, like brown rice as a complex carbohydrate. There's protein in it. That daikon radish, that's a vegetable. There's protein in it. You may not classify it like in the bean section because we know beans are where we get the most protein, but there is protein in the vegetables you eat. There is protein in everything that grows out of Mother Earth.
Yeah, there is. And I've never really seen anyone that is protein deficient. So, I mean, that's just a myth. And yeah, and then what about supplements? What do you think about that?
Well, again, everybody's different. And if you are in a chronic state where you're dealing with a dis-ease, supplements can definitely help you. You got to read the labels. Always try and find something like the garlic supplement that I take. You can call it a supplement, but it's organic garlic. There's nothing else in it. That's what you want to look for. You want to look for nothing else in it. Sometimes they take it and they combine it and they put all these things. And then at the bottom is the fillers. And some of those words, you don't know what they are. They're ground up wood pulp. That's what's in a lot of supplements. Ground up wood pulp. I recommend if somebody has something they're trying to overcome, I actually like liquid herbal tinctures better because it's a liquid. It'll get digested easier and there's no fillers in it. It's just a liquid, whatever. Now, knock on wood, I'm a very healthy person. I don't take any supplements. I do have, herbal tinctures in my fridge in case I get a cold or something. I got echinacea and, things like that, just if I ever need them. And as I mentioned before, if my cats have something wrong with them, I will do some research, and I've given them cat herbal tinctures too, and things like that. So, but you need also body knowledge. You need to know what's going on with your body because we are inundated with commercials and people trying to sell you something. So for instance, I'll just take something off in my head and selenium. Selenium's great for you. You got to have it in your heart, blah, blah, blah. But someone will come across trying to sell you selenium and they'll tell you it's going to solve every problem in your body. But you don't know if you're selenium deficient. You don't know that. So if you are concerned, if you have a health condition you're trying to overcome, I would suggest working with someone to do some type of body diagnosis. And I would suggest a hair analysis. I think hair analysis are very a good tool to find out what's wrong with you. Now, a lot of people use blood analysis, and that's fine. But a blood analysis will tell you what's going on. Like right now, a hair analysis will tell you like months that have led up to it. So it'll have more of a trend of what's going on. So if you don't feel good and there's something wrong with you, I think you need to find body knowledge first. What's going wrong with you? And I'm sorry, if you go to a regular MD, most of the time, they're not going to be able to tell you because they're not going to suggest a hair analysis or anything like that. They're basically going to make guesses and then they're going to give you a prescription drug, which is only going to make your condition worse and create other conditions from the side effects.
Yeah, you got that right. Oh my gosh. And then you don't know really what's going on. What's causing this? Is this a side effect? And then we'll bring in another med to treat this side effect. Oh my gosh. So one of my friends was asking me about salmon for omega-3s. What about that? I mean, like what, and the chia, I mean, chia and flax. Can you talk about this?
Yeah, so omega-3s, nuts and seeds that you mentioned, flaxseed, walnuts, pecans. Again, why are they concerned about omega-3 fatty acids? Did they do a test? Do they know that they're deficient in omega-3 fatty acids? Or did they just hear it? Is it just a trend out there that everybody's talking about? Because everybody wants to sell you fish oil. So everybody's deplete in omega-3 fatty acids. They tend to, unfortunately, people tend to get brainwashed very easily. And we get brainwashed from listening to the TV, the radio, and other things like that. It's repeated over and over again. And pretty soon you think the whole culture needs omega-3 fatty acids. It's like, do they? There might be specific people who have specific conditions where they are deficient in that, and then they need to address it. But to make a blanket statement that we all need it, and you have to get it from salmon. Oh, you have to get it from salmon. You have to get it from a fish oil supplement. That's the only way you can get it. That's brainwashing, telling them that over and over and over and over again. I don't have like an incredible memory to tell you every single food that has omega-3 fatty acids, but when I teach a cooking class, I do research and I do have cue cards and I do let people know it has this, it has this, it has this, but off the top of my head, I know that the nuts and seeds definitely are an excellent source of it.
Yeah, and I've been really doing my best to eat chia and flax every day for my own, added benefit. So, and I give that to my dog too, chia, flax, and well, he loves sweet potatoes. He loves broccoli. He's a very good little eater. And in fact, the vet tried to give me some. We ended up going to a different vet because it was an emergency. He tried to give me some canned junky food, the canned junk that they want to send you home with. And that's ridiculous. I make his food. It's a lot healthier and it's fresh compared to this canned junk that's just something that they are pushing, and we have to watch out for ourselves. You're right. And we have to, I remember people were complaining that my vegetables don't last long or they want them to last forever. You don't want vegetables that are just going to last forever in your fridge. What does that even say? That's not even natural, but we're so brainwashed into having these so-called foods that have a shelf life of years and years. That's not the way it works.
No, think about our ancestors. They picked it out of Mother Earth and they ate it when it was fresh. You can't preserve it for a long, long time. It's not natural.
You don't want to, my gosh. And all right, y'all, if you're watching, please go to www.all-creatures.org to make a one-time or reoccurring donation so we can continue on with these great shows. And Val, I see we're coming to the end of our hour. So give us some any last minute wisdom and make sure to tell everyone where they can connect with you and get your wonderful products, your books.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. So macrobiotics.com is my website. There's all my cookbooks are for sale there. And there's also links to my Substack blog that I mentioned. I also have a YouTube channel, Chef Valerie Wilson. And I have many videos on my YouTube channel. If you are interested in healthy food, the nutritional value, how to chop vegetables, because I go into that too, that's my YouTube channel is just a wealth of information. And I have the recipe of the month on the website. So make sure you get a recipe. And down at the bottom of the homepage, it says subscribe to Val's newsletter. I send a monthly newsletter out to let you know about all my upcoming events. And on March 25th, I'm so excited about this. I am teaching a cooking class, traditional English soups. So my mom's side of the family is English. So I love to do research on the way they made it a long time ago. And let me tell you, traditional English soups are butter and cream. But of course, I take the recipe and I change it and I make it healthy. So I created these 2 English soups that I served to my mom last Sunday. She went gaga crazy about them. Now, this is a virtual class. So I want everybody to know that if you don't live by me, because I'm in Michigan, I have virtual classes. And the virtual classes are just as much fun because I interact with the audience. I'm talking to you. It's not just sit there and observe me. But this is the leek potatoes that I created.
Yum.
That's one of the soups I'm going to teach you. And all that information is on the website. I also do counseling sessions if you have a dis-ease that you need to overcome. I use all the things that I talked about here, the 5 transformations of energy, the balancing of the food, healthy, whole organic food. But I also talk about emotions and how emotions and your thoughts and your words help to create your body healing. Also, I go into a lot of that, the energy of the words that you speak. I've counseled people with cancer and, diabetes and Meniere's disease. In fact, my greatest success was my dad. About 20 years ago, he had prostate cancer. And I said to mom and dad, if you want, I'll help you. I'll teach you this way. My dad did change his diet. He went 100% strict macro healing diet. It wasn't a fancy, it was a very strict healing diet. He overcame the prostate cancer. He did not use any medical interventions. He overcame just using the diet, overcame the prostate cancer. So food is medicine. Food is very healing. You've got to realize that you are what you eat. When you eat your food, it literally becomes the blood that flows through your body. So the food you eat literally does become you, both energetically and the health of your body. And so when you decide that you want to take a different path and you want to live healthier, maybe you want to get rid of the joint pains that you're experiencing, you want to start on your journey and observe how you are feeling better with each step that you take. And again, the first step I always suggest to everybody, it's what I did. Just start eating brown rice. Just cook up a pot of brown rice and just start eating it. It does make a difference. And then you take that first step, you see how it's made a difference, you feel a little bit better, and then you can take another step and another step and another step, and you will start to experience how much better you feel. Because if you're living your life and you're walking through your journey, you want to be able to walk through your journey with the most energy and the least amount of pain, right? And also the best mindset. You want to look at what's happening out there, and you don't want to be, that would be like a demonstration of the yang energy, right? That would be the meat, the yang, like, oh my God, what's happening out there? I can't handle it. But if you're eating balanced food, you're like, yes, what's happening out there, I do observe it, I do see it. But over here, let's look at the person who helped their elderly mom become healthy again. Let's look over here at the dog that was healed with herbs. You know what I mean? It's like more of a balance. Let's focus on the positive things that are going on. Yes, this is happening, and when you eat more of the balanced food, I think you have more of a balance to be able to focus on, not just concentrating on the downward yang negative stuff. And so that's just your journey through life. You want to be more balanced, because I think it's a more enjoyable journey through life if you're more balanced. And you can achieve that through healthy, organic, whole, vegan food.
Amen to that. You're right. And I love the way you talk about energy, and we are all energy. So we have to be aware of that, what we're putting in our bodies. And like you said, that our food is running our blood, or it is our blood, right? So yeah, it's something to really think about. So thank you so much for your wisdom, and everybody make sure to go check out Chef Val's information and sign up for her great Zoom. Is it Zooms call?
They're cooking classes virtual through Zoom. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Virtual classes. Yes. And more Substack and all these, and the YouTube, check them all out, y'all. So, everyone, thanks for watching, that is watching now or on the replay. And thank you so much, Val. I love your energy. And, Ellen saying thank you both. I love Ellen. She's so sweet too. She's working hard out there. She's, She is sewing away and also teaching healthy food classes as well. So we really need you all to get that out to the public. So thanks so much, Val, again. And you'll have to come back on later and catch up with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.